reality of being men? Is that it?
This is a different one, but this one's funny. We should probably show this one. Yeah, let's go ahead.
This one?
Can we pull this one? Have you seen this?
Yeah, this is funny.
This is like funny, but not
Apologize
funny.
for being late. My wife just died. We've got a lot on the agenda today, so let's begin. Yes, Matthew?
Hey, I'm so sorry. I mean, your wife.
Yeah, well, as you might expect, the pain's unlike anything I've ever experienced before, but got a lot to do today, so let's keep moving, okay? Maura?
I'm so sorry to hear that, sir. Jamie was a really wonderful woman.
Yes, I can confirm that, but Maura, I actually made a pledge to the President and to the people of the United States to keep the nation informed as to the activities of its leader.
Do you need anyone to talk to or someone to help you with anything?
People, this subject is not on the agenda today. Believe me, there's nothing I'd like more than to drop down behind this podium and weep. But I can't do this. Why? Because I'm a grown man, I've got a job to do, and so do you.
It's funny, right?
Not real, is it?
Huh?
Is this real?
No. But here's the thing, though. Hold on. Time out. Tristan asked this, is this real? Because this is kind of what it's like being a man. It's
plausible,
This is the thing that ladies, because it's a plausible thing. There's this thing that ladies are like a lot of times. It's not just ladies. It's some people who, we have the ability and the luxury of like drinking mimosas and thinking about our feelings, watching our favorite TV show and going to therapy because there are men like that no matter how they feel, they have to go they have to walk their beat as a police officer, or they're willing to go storm Normandy Beach, or they're willing to stay up all night to make sure the construction is done for the bridge or the skyscraper or whatever is happening, or people who keep the lights and the electricity and the water running. Those people, when their wife dies, they still have to fucking go to work. I think it's hard to explain. One thing happened when my dad died. I was 29 years old, and I called Major Robinson, who was my flight commander, and I said, Major Robinson, I got a flight in 2 days, whatever. I'll still do the flight, and then I'm going to go home for the funeral. And he had to stop me, and he was like, because this is a regulation in the military, and he goes, Sartain, you're not going to fucking fly. Like, your dad just died. We're not going to let you fucking fly. It was crazy. He didn't say it like that, but it was one of these situations where it was like, in my mind, because I am around men who are like this, the idea of me missing a flight, and by the way, I deployed right after my dad's funeral to the Middle East. The idea of missing that because something bad happened. There's a great movie you guys should check out. It's called The Covenant. It's Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, and it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's terrific because because the two main characters, one of them saves one of them's life, and the other one saves the other one's life, but there's no affection between the two of them at all. They never shake hands or come into physical contact, hardly at all during the entire movie. And when you come to realize that we as men, we have this thing where we have to keep our promise and be accountable for our actions, no matter how we fucking feel, which is why I think most therapy doesn't work for men, because therapy has to always keep in mind that I have to pay the bills, and it's like I'm having a hard time dealing with what my wife's doing, and I'm having some internal emotions, but someone's broken into my house and I don't feel like getting the shotgun. No.
That's what friends are for.
I always have to get the shotgun.
Friends with shotguns, yes.
I have a question.
My question is, and I don't exactly know how to phrase it. So I've heard many men say that, they're more attracted to mothers. Do you think that, because as a mother, I feel the same way. Before I had a child, I didn't feel that way. I did whatever the fuck I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted. But now I have a child, like, no matter what, I have to be, and she's getting older. She's almost 6. So she's recognizing and repeating behaviors and seeing, like, she can read the room with what mom's going through, what I've got going on. So I have to compartmentalize a lot of things no matter what. Ever since the day she was born, I have to get up. I feel like mothers have similar outlooks on life, where you got to get up and get it done. Like, you have to.
Yes.
And you have to mask some of the emotions and things like that to protect your child and their emotions and their reaction. Do you feel like that could be possibly why some men are more attracted to mothers, because there's a sense of responsibility there?
You're talking about single mothers? You're talking about attracted single mothers or women who are motherly? What are you talking about here?
I think,
or the mother fetish, because there's that too.
That's actually where I was going with this. That's where I was going with this.
I think mothers in general. I don't necessarily mean, I guess single mothers, because you're not going to date somebody that's.
No, are you talking
in a
about motherly
relationship.
characteristics or women who have
legitimate,
already have had children?
children. Yeah,
I don't think they necessarily
I haven't seen any data showing that men are more attracted to women who already have kids. it.
I don't know if that's like some big majority thing.
Yeah.
It's just something I've heard often,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that's.
I could definitely see going out with a woman and seeing that she's good to her son and that being a positive. I don't know if it makes you more sexually attracted to her, but I definitely can see, well, okay, this woman's probably not a psychopath. She's willing to do anything to protect her child. That's actually admirable.
I'm just wondering because the characteristics you say that I mean the thought process that men have, it's very similar to.
There seems to be. Well, the point I'm just trying to make is there seems to be this pull for men to express themselves emotionally, to become more vulnerable, but to do it in the way that women do it, more like a feminine way.
Yeah.
And my point is, we don't even have this discussion except for the fact that a society was built with air conditioners, skyscrapers, fucking cars, dishwashers. This whole society was created by men who actually needed to repress their feelings so that the job would get done. What I'm saying is we're privileged by those men. The guy you just saw here, my wife just died, but I still have a job to do, and so do you. Those men are the reason why we have the privilege of even having the conversation that we're having right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that also has to do with academia too, because like just being in psychology, it's mostly women.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of see that like most therapy is designed to treat women, and it's like offensive to say that you need to treat men and women differently because the treatment would be different. So you said this on a podcast, I think last week. It was like, like I'm fine with a therapist. She needs to understand though, like the bill needs to get paid, or like the kids need to take care of.
Men need strength coach.
For sure. It's like whatever you're doing for women, that's fine. But with men, you must always remember we have a burden of performance.
Right.
A lot of women have a burden of performance too. Like she said, as a mother, that burden of performance makes sure her child is taken care of.
For sure.
A woman who's a squadron commander, a woman who's a female pilot, they have a burden of performance. A lot of women don't have the same burden of performance as a man does, but all men have a burden of performance. Our value with regards to the opposite sex or with regards to people who want to work with us, work for us, or our respectability comes from our burden of performance because we don't have big boobies. Okay? So whereas some women have a burden of performance, all men have a burden of performance.
Mike, a gynomastia was.
Yes, we don't have a.
But for you to have that, you'd have to acknowledge that men and women are different.
Correct.
And that is the problem.
And
that's offensive to a lot of people.
Well, I mean, that was like the basis of the discussion we had last week, which was like, oh, men need to go to therapy more.
Yeah,
we don't.
He's not talking about you guys, you ladies. Tristan's not talking about you guys. He's talking about the psychological, the academicians that are hyper liberal and woke.
I was gonna say, now look, if you're having like anxiety issues at home, like, and I think people overuse the word, I'm anxious, I have anxiety, right? But if you're really having like breakdowns and you're crying and something's going on, yes, go see a therapist.
Yes, but here's the reason why you have to go see a therapist, because your anxiety is breaking your performance.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So because you can't perform, for sure, I have friends that have suffered from PTSD. Those people do need to go to therapy. But the reason why they need to go to therapy is because they're broken living on the street because they could not meet their burden of performance.
Right. Yes.
The number of homeless men versus homeless women, it is huge, the number of homeless men versus homeless
Well, that's
women.
why we have like athletic psychologists. Like, so if you're like, if somebody's in your head or whatever, you are like not in the right place mentally, and you can't like perform as far as, you know, your sports or athletics or whatever else that is. There's literally a branch of psychology for sports, for
sports psychologists.
Yeah. So like 90% of these men do not need therapy. Stop letting your girlfriend tell you you need a therapist.
Hear that, Jesse Press?
So to you guys, you know what you need instead of a therapist? You need a performance coach. Go watch Billions. You remember Bobby Axelrod had Wendy Rhodes in there, and Wendy Rhodes was not interested in like your psychological health. You needed to perform. You'd be shocked how good your mental energy will be and how much your brain will reward you when you kill the fucking meat and protect the fucking tribe. You will be shocked at how happy you are and how wonderful your life is, and also how many more women look at you and are attracted to you when you kill the fucking meat and you protect the fucking tribe. You will be shocked at how all of a sudden that's therapy. A guy is like, I'm lonely, but all of a sudden he has sex with a beautiful woman and he has a beautiful girlfriend. All of a sudden he didn't need therapy. He didn't need any fucking therapy, did he? He just had sex with a beautiful woman. He needs some intimacy. And all of a sudden, all that shit is gone.
Now his head's in the right
Isn't
place.
it weird how that worked? It's like objective reality changed. It got better for him because he accomplished a goal. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't need fucking therapy anymore. Isn't it weird how that works?
Something totally different and weird, but I heard that somewhere over in Europe, if you're like on disability, part of that disability check is allowed to be used for prostitutes.
Yes, that is. Hold on, what country is that?
That is
like
so
Denmark.
cool.
Is it Denmark?
Denmark,
Is it Denmark
it's
or
one of the Scandinavian countries.
What you're saying is absolutely true. Yes,
That's the coolest thing because yes,
that's the coolest thing.
coolest thing.
Shout out to Pahrump. Shout out to Pahrump.
Yeah.
Go get some. Dude,
By the
go
way,
get
we
some puss.
had a girl who was going to come on. We had a girl who's going to come on the show today. No lie, but she's stuck out in Pahrump at Mustang Ranch until next week. And she's going to come out here.
Oh,
Yes.
I would like to meet her.
Yes,
would
yeah,
too.
I'll introduce you guys to her. Yeah.
I'm a whore.
Okay. Can we do? Can we
said
do?
that?
Can we do? Can we do?
I have
Sterling.
I have Sterling set up. Are we good, Lana?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. There we go. I finally got him. All right, Sterling. Sterling Cooper, our good friend. Longtime friend.
That is kind of a harsh reality that nobody teaches young men, that it's like being a man is a 24/7. If you actually want to be a leader in your family, be a leader in your relationship, be a leader in your business, whatever it is. And I think a lot of guys look at a relationship as a like, oh, I put the work in to get a girlfriend, to get a wife. I'm done. Box ticked. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You don't just go to the gym for 6 months once in your life and then never go again, and it'll stay that way forever. But you do have to constantly work on all these aspects of your life: health, wealth, relationship.
There you go.
You guys, ladies, agree with that? I would imagine you all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Starling's great. Starling is a sage. Former porn star turned into
Can you introduce me
Men's
to
health
him?
sage.
100%. Look,
Yes.
Lindsay's like, I want to meet him.
He's cute.
And he's got that accent too. Look at that on you.
Oh yeah, I've tried. Never mind.
I'm sure he'd work with
You
you.
want to get on the
the
ski? You
DMs
want to get on the ski slopes with him? Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
wanna
can go
skiing with him?
snowboarding.
You go snowboarding.
Well, I mean, again, it comes back to. I mean, I've been writing about this since like back in the early mid, 2000s. Burden of performance, and I think I used to get a lot of shit for this back in the day because everybody kept saying, "Oh, you shouldn't call it burden of performance. It should be like the challenge of performance or the gift of performance."
Gift of performance.
Yeah, they're
the
trying to like.
gift of-
Well, I mean, I understand because they want to spin it in some positive way. And
Sure.
I'll tell you, like right now, I listen to like people who are quote unquote red pill like content creators who use. I coined that phrase like back in 2007. And I have to tell you that, like back then, people didn't want to accept it in the way that we like suddenly want to popularize it now. But back then, when I was saying it's a burden of performance, meaning the fact that if you want to be, and this comes back to not just necessarily meeting that burden of performance so that you can get a girlfriend, you can get laid, you can get a wife or whatever, have kids. It's not just that. It's also about your work. It's also about your physicality. It is what makes you respectable, and it also comes back to frame. So when we talk about money, muscles, and game, all of those are parts of the burden of performance. All of those three constitute what we call frame. It creates the world into which like women want to be, want to come into, and men want to be associated with as well because they want to work with you because you have integrity, you have respectability. So, and it also comes back to my two sort of gendered concepts when it comes to respect, love. There are gendered concepts where for one sex, respect means something, and for men it means something else. So when it comes to male respect, what makes you respectable is how well do you meet that burden of performance. It's not trying. People used to think that I was using burden of performance as some way to sort of like browbeat, beta male guys, like, oh, come on, man, measure up, like being some sort of like coach kind of thing. It's not about that. It's like what makes you respectable. For women, respectability comes from like it's more common, it's more egalitarian. Everybody deserves respect. Everybody gets a participation trophy. We should all respect each other. No, for women, I'm sure that sounds really good as far as being collectivist and being egalitarian. It sounds like a good idea, but for men have to because we're competitive. We always want to jockey for who's the sergeant and who's the corporal. And I'm going to ruin the chain of command here, but like whoever's at the top of the heap and who's ever at the bottom of the heap, and we do that like hierarchically through our workplace, through the military, through sports teams and stuff like that. There's a captain of the team and everything else. So really what the burden of performance means, and what Sterling was talking about right here, is it's something that is always constant. Only in death does duty end, right? I mean, you have to constantly be going and improving and growing.
Yes, I love it. Guys, read Gates of Fire. Listen to King Leonidas. He hated leaving his wife behind and knew full well that he was going to die, and she knew he was going to die, and he still did what he did for Sparta. If you guys understand that concept, this is what it's like to be a successful man. Again, many men choose
Come
not
back
to,
with your shield or come back on your shield.
Come back on your shield. So it's one of these, you guys have to understand, a successful man there are going to be people out there that will tell you that what I'm saying isn't true. That's fine. Just notice that their followers and you are broke. Listen to me one more time. As a man, you always have a burden of performance. This is why most homeless people are men, not women. You always, when you don't have the burden of performance, this is why more people who take their own lives are men as opposed to women. As a man, you always have a burden of performance. No one is coming to save you. Now, often no one's coming to save women also, but there is this thing with women where it's like, if you're an attractive woman, there kind of is a dude or a line of dudes that are like, I would absolutely be willing to take care of you. Whereas for me, I don't have big boobies. No one is coming to fucking save me. And I have to recognize this, and everyone listening, all the men who are listening have to recognize this. And that understanding that is more important. Still go to therapy if you need it, but what I just said is more important than therapy.